This is Fiery Hand with an instructional video on how to fix and repair your singing billy bass fish. Our patient here is a big mouth rainbow trout. His head broke again because I believe the gear went up the motor shaft. But anyway, this is how you fix most singing fish problems. Hold on a second. First, you just undo these 6 screws to the back of the plaque here. Set them in a good spot so you don't lose them. Sometimes when you fix your fish, you may want to take the batteries out to prevent accidental button presses. It happens. I'm not using the body of the screwdriver that you're supposed to use because the hole is kind of stripped and it sits there loosely. Usually I like to put the screwdriver in the hang hole to get a good grip on this. Oh. Careful that there's no wires in there if you do this step. So this is the inside of a singing fish. Let me adjust the camera so you can see. That white area right there is the mechanical skeleton of the singing fish. And this is how you fix the head on most models. This works with any part. It's a little trick that involves a gear on the motor. I'll show you here. First you unscrew the mechanical skeleton. Wesley, I understand you have a lot of broken fish with this kind of internal mechanism. This video will be able to help you out. And you can get these gears from billy bass fish, and you might be able to find an identical one at an RC shop somewhere. Usually though, you pick billy basses up at thrift sales and yard sales and Goodwill and stuff, Savers, and that's where you get some of these gears from and parts, and I've used some parts to fix these things. You have to be careful when you do this too. Don't want to wreck this. I just pull it in more so you can reach these screws that hold the motor in. You unscrew this big holder piece. Take it out. There it is right there. I just pull the motor out right here. You have to be careful not to take the wires off of it, otherwise you have to resolder them. This takes a minute to do because the wires pull on it and it causes annoying, yeah. Let's see. Here it is. That's our motor piece, and if you can see this camera doesn't zoom in any more than what it is right now. But if you can see this little gear on it, allow me to pull this off. And it must have went dull, that's why his internal mechanism isn't working right. This is the gear that usually needs replacement, just this little 10-tooth gear. As I said, you can find most of these in other fish, and you can also probably find a similar one at an RC shop. and it has to be the right size. I'm not too sure how you measure these things, so I can't really help you with that. And you can get one yourself at an RC shop. And let's see, what's our problem? This gear looks pretty good. If you put your fingers on the corner of the gear and squeeze it, if it hurts your fingers, it's good. It's a good gear. So you just basically stick this gear on the motor shaft, the replacement one. Wonder how his head broke. It wasn't working right last time I played it, like it cranked really loudly and it went back and forth. The gears inside are just fine. I put like a huge glob of glue on it so the gear doesn't slide up and miss the other gears. Because that would kind of be a fail. Let it sit there so the glue can dry. Now don't use super glue because then it'll be really hard to remove the gear. Plus you have to let it sit overnight before you can test them. So let's give this hot glue a second to dry. Touch it with a screwdriver a bit. And let's give it a few more seconds. So Wesley, I hope you're watching this video. This is how you fix your fish. Okay, now you just basically put the motor back in the way it was in there. You don't want to mess anything up when you put it back together. And the way you can test if it's in there right is move the head just very slowly. Don't do this with fish where you can't move the head, otherwise you'll break it. But move the head. You should hear this sound. I hope you can hear that. It should just be a little sound. So, yep. Put this motor holder piece, screw it back on. Yada yada. So, now, let's see if I can find the screw that this had. It should be the screw. You don't want these plastic pieces to be cracked, otherwise it'll be a pretty difficult fix involving a lot of epoxy and glue. I don't know what kind of glue you should use for this plastic. I used super glue to fix Billy Bone's tail. I super glued one of his tab pieces from the top of the gearbox to a new cam gear and now his tail works. Right, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Screw that in. I wouldn't screw it in too tight. I kind of screwed it in a little bit tight. Don't screw it in too tight, otherwise the gear might have a hard time turning. And I take this rectangular piece right here, just put it in the way it was. Wish me luck uploading this video to YouTube. This is gonna take forever. Now, see if I can even get this. This is a two-handed process. You can't do it with one hand. Need one hand to push this in here. Another hand to hold the gearbox in the plaque. Okay, now you just screw everything in. Screw the back of the plaque together again with the front of the plaque, and you test the fish out. I'm going to do this in a minute. Oh, and when you screw the fish in, use these wide head screws. You'll want to, trust me. And if I can't help you with fixing a singing fish, ask Lake WI 44 or Billy Mouth. They can help you too. I can help you with most problems, but the one thing I cannot fix on a fish is if the internal gears inside of the mouth gearbox strip, because then I can't really get in there because of the eyes. I don't want to break the thing that holds the eye in. Boogie bass's eyes are no problem though. Those are just one straight piece and you just pull them out. But these eyes are locked in. And you don't want to break the piece that holds them in, otherwise they're going to be pretty floppy when he moves his mouth. If he does move his mouth. Now, a lot of these clone fish, such as Al's dancing fish, big mouth rainbow trout, rockin' singing bass, any of these billy bass style copy fish have the same mechanism. This is a billy bass mechanism. Okay, that's in there. I just take the back of the plaque and you just screw it back in. Sorry for the long video. This is usually how long it takes anyway without a video. Screw everything back together. And when you fix a fish, you have to put it back together exactly the way it was, otherwise it might not work right. And you want these things to work right if you collect them. These things aren't meant to be fixed though, really. They're meant to be thrown out as soon as they stop working, but you know, who cares? You might as well have them working if you collect them. Now our test. Let's see. Okay, so there his head works again. Now you set them on the table and you finally test them. I favor all shook up. And just wait till the head turns. Sometimes they will not work like they're new either. There. And that's how you fix your singing fish.